Hello everyone, welcome to the 31st edition of the Singapore International Film Festival. I am Tan Pin Pin, and I'm the director and the moderator for tonight's In Conversation. This event is part of a series of talks and panels organized via Zoom because of our good friend COVID. But tonight is extra special. We have with us tonight Hong Kong's most revered director, Anne Hui, as well as director Man Lim Chung. Director Man directed a documentary about Anne called Keep Rolling, which is still showing at SGIFF as we speak. It's showing online and it will stay online until tomorrow at 3:30. I encourage all of you who are tuning in now that you must watch it. So in a way, it's interesting. We have two directors. One, the director herself, and then we have the director Man, who made the documentary about the director. So it's a bit of a meta conversation about the creative process, about what goes on in the making of a film. And it's also about the journey that director Anne has made in the past 4 decades herself. In the Zoom screen in front of you, some of you at home, there's a Q&A button. And I encourage all of you to start fielding in your questions as soon as you have them. It would be good if you can direct your question either to Director Anne or Director Man as you ask your question. In the previous panelist sessions that we have, the questions only came in the last 10 minutes, and we didn't have time to field all of them. So I encourage you to give us your questions soon. Sitting beside me today at SGIFF studio at Royal Road in Little India is the intrepid interpreter, Sylvia Wong.
Hi.
She's a film journalist with Screen, whose services will be most helpful for all of us today. Okay. So Director Man entered the film industry after graduating from Hong Kong Polytechnic University's School of Design in 1991. During his early years in his career, he assisted the most acclaimed art directors in Hong Kong, such as Tony Au and William Chung, on many Hong Kong blockbusters. He was awarded his first Hong Kong Film Award in 1999 for his art direction of Sylvia Chang's Tempting Heart, and began his career as one of Hong Kong's most notable art directors. From 2002 onwards, he has been working with director Anne Hui and has worked on her films as art director for July Rhapsody, The Golden Era, and Our Time Will Come. For his artwork, he won the Hong Kong Film Awards 4 times, and he has been nominated a further 8 times. Keep Rolling is his directorial debut. Thank you, Director Man, for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Director Anne Hui's career spans almost 40 films and 4 decades. She is acknowledged as one of the key figures of the Hong Kong New Wave, the movement which revolutionized Hong Kong's movies during the 1970s and 80s, transforming the city into one of the most energetic and creative centers of the decade. She has made very different types of films, from melodramas to ghost stories, from semi-autobiographical movies to adaptations of major literary works. She has also made documentaries, martial arts movies, and thrillers. Although she has paid attention to the commercial side of movies and has garnered widespread success with the public, the cinema of Anne Hui has never abandoned the auteurist approach in her movies. In her movies, she's always shown interest in individual stories that interweave the important social themes, such as those of refugees, displacement, the marginalized, and the elderly. And get this, she has won the Best Director at Hong Kong Film Awards 6 times, and she has recently been given the Golden Lion for Lifetime Achievement by the Venice Film Festival. It's a pleasure to have you with us today, Anne Hui and Director Man. Thank you so much. I just wanted to ask, you have been to Singapore International Film Festival before?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
A few times earlier, in the earlier years?
Yes.
And Director Man? Yeah,
No.
first time. Well, this is Zoom, it's a Zoom presence, but I feel this counts as your first time with a festival. Yeah. I want to thank you for making the documentary, Keep Rolling. I felt when I watched it that it wasn't just a film about director Anne, it was also a film about a life in art, a life in creation, and what it actually means to be making cinema. It gave us a very, very intimate portrait that was also very, very humane and very, very compassionate. We see Anne, exercising. We see Anne taking her mum to the doctors. And also, working on sets, going on a promotional tour in China, behind the scenes just before she receives a big award. And interspersed in between, you have some really, really quiet moments with her and her family and friends, and as well as other directors. Can you tell us a little bit about Keep Rolling and how this project came about?
You asking me or?
Yeah, I'm asking you. What made this film obviously looks like it took a long time to film.
Yeah.
And what made you decide to spend all that time to do it?
I speak in Cantonese.
Okay.
其實個紀錄片係2016年我同 Anne 導演拍緊《明月幾時有》嘅時候開始嘅。
The documentary was started in 2016 when I was making Our Time Will Come with director Anne.
咁當然我係即係咁多年同許導演一路合作，同埋即係細細個睇佢嘅電影，我係好欣賞許導演嘅電影，同埋許導演嘅為人，同埋佢即係拍戲。
I have been working with director Anne for a long time, and I have been watching her films since young, and I really admire her work and her as a person.
咁係去到拍《明月幾時有》嘅時候咧，咁就有一日我同個同事即係傾開當時好似好少香港電影人嘅紀錄片。
When we were making Our Time Will Come, a colleague talked to me that there were very few documentaries about Hong Kong directors.
咁同時譬如華人地區都有好多唔同嘅電影人嘅紀錄片，譬如台灣，譬如大陸都有好多導演嘅紀錄片。咁但係香港就冇，即係好少嘅，淨係得一部杜琪峰嘅紀錄片。咁而女導演嘅紀錄片。
Yeah, in Taiwan and in China, there were a few documentaries about directors, but not in Hong Kong. There's only one for Johnny To. It's called Boundless.
係。咁而女導演嘅紀錄片就更加少啦。咁
even fewer for women directors.
咁我同事仲點解冇人拍許導演咧？因為許導演嘅即係咁值得我哋譬如佢拍電影嘅態度或者佢嘅為人咁值得俾新嘅電影人知道，點解冇人拍咧咁？So
my colleague wonder why no one has made a film about director Anne Hui. She is such an excellent person.
咁於是我自己就喺度諗因為拍緊《明月幾時有》嘅時候咧，因為我哋喺大陸取景嘅，咁其實嗰陣時都叫做生活，即係一齊生活啦，每日即係由朝到晚咁好似我即係好即係最容易去做到呢件事嘅人，咁點解我
Making our time in China, our time will come in China, like we were spending time together, so it's easy for me to ask her whether I can make a documentary of her.
係啦，咁然之後我就問許導演可唔可以拍一個佢嘅紀錄片咁。
Yeah, so I asked her if I can make a documentary of her.
咁跟住佢就好快就答應咗。
And she responded very quickly, yes.
What did she say?
佢講咩咧
How did she say?
佢點樣回應你？
佢話即係佢好 surprise 你嚟拍我，因為佢驚拍完冇人睇。
She was very surprised that I wanted to make a film of her, and she is only worried that nobody wants to see the film.
Okay, so and here we are. The film is finished. Did you have a lot of footage?
其實係啊，因為拍咗其實前後由2016年中開始拍到2019年頭，其實差唔多3-4年時間係真係拍咗好多嘢嘅中間。
Yes, we had a lot of footage. We started in mid 2016 until 2018, so altogether about 3 years. We filmed a lot.
其實咧，我哋有一個習慣咧，係將每一次訪問嘉賓訪問完之後嘅內容咧變成文字。咁差唔多有30幾次啦，即係咁多30幾個嘉賓或者阿 Ann 導演有出席一啲演講嘅場合啊，或者一啲其他場合，即係差唔多加埋有30幾次。而我哋每一次都將呢啲訪談嘅內容寫成即係記錄低成文字。
It is our habit to record every single interview, put them down into words. So we had about over 30 interviews with different guests and also with director Ann.
差唔多每一次採訪，譬如可能個零兩個鐘咧，都有萬幾2萬字一次接近。咁30幾次加埋總共有成50萬字嘅文字資料喺手上。
And each interview is like 10,000 words, so over 30 interviews total will be about 50,000 words.
所以你頭先問嗰個素材有幾多？即係嗰個長度，即係我覺得不如用呢個文字嚟量化嗰個素材嘅長度啊。
So it is an answer to your question for the footage that he had.
I'm going to suggest to Sylvia that maybe after you speak for a few more lines and then she interprets all at one shot rather than line by line, it would give us a little bit more time. I hope that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. So when you finally finished the film, did you show it to director Ann before you premiered it in Hong Kong?
有啊，因為我拍即係其實我啱啱剪完咧，我都好緊張嘅，我都想睇下導演嘅反應係點。咁我就俾佢睇過個 rough cut 嘅。咁即係佢都好緊張想睇下，即係究竟即係因為講咗咁多嘢，有冇啲係佢唔即係唔係好想人知道嘅。咁導演係有睇過個 rough cut 嘅。咁但係 final 佢好似到依家都未睇過。不如你問下導演啦呢個。
After the edit, I was quite nervous and I wanted to show director Ann and she wanted to see it too. Just want to make sure that she didn't say anything inappropriate.
Yeah, so director Ann, when between the both of you when you were shooting the film, did you tell him you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, or what was the relationship between the both of you when you were shooting, or was that pretty much carte blanche?
It's like this because we had a gentleman's agreement that I wouldn't interfere about his shooting and what he wants to express. But he can ask me whether some of the things he wants to shoot, especially involving other people, whether I will agree. And I told him that if he asks me and I don't agree, that means I don't think it's appropriate. And then, but the rest he can shoot whatever he likes. And most of the time when he shot, I didn't know he was shooting. I mean, if it just involves me or at work, or sometimes I know. I mean, because interviews and things like that. And I just asked to see the rough cut so that I don't want to say something inappropriate or offensive to people without knowing. And when I looked at the rough cut, actually, apart from nothing is offensive, you know. In fact, I was really quite surprised that the film turned out so well, because I have no secrets, or at least I won't show my secrets. I mean, so I have nothing sort of really dramatic in my life, and it's sort of really tame. And I just couldn't imagine how it could be made very interesting to other people. But he manages to do it But how he did it, I mean, I think it's a very, very long story. I won't go into that. But I think finding the appropriate place to stop so that people won't be bored. And I mean, even as a subject of the film itself, I'm not embarrassed at all by it, because sometimes you're not embarrassed by people attacking you, but you are embarrassed when people praise you too much. But he never does that. So, and then I like it because usually the directors will ask you to say more of this or look this way or that way to sort of suit the lighting and that kind of thing. But he never does that also, which I like very much. So, so I was very comfortable when he was shooting.
I think it also helps that you both have known each other for many years.
Oh, of course. I think it's really a matter of a lot of mutual trust. I mean.
So, Director Man, when you were in the edit room with this whole mass of footage, what was your guiding feeling as you shaped the material? What did you feel you really wanted to put across in this first documentary of yours?
我未答佢呢啲問題之前咧，我想補充翻少少頭先嗰個問題得唔得？
Oh, he wanted to add something to the previous question.
因為其實我想講咧，因為許導演好好嘅，因為佢雖然話佢話佢唔會左右我哋拍邊啲應該拍，邊啲唔應該拍咁，但係其實佢俾咗好多方便我哋，即係譬如佢妹妹喺美國翻嚟，譬如佢弟弟喺加拿大翻嚟，咁佢都會話俾我哋知，然之後即係我哋可以去拍咁，即係呢啲嘢都係即係如果佢唔講，我哋都係唔知嘅。咁所以其實導演都係俾咗好多即係其實佢默默地係好支持我哋嘅。
Director Anne was very nice. Not only she didn't interfere with our production, she also made it very convenient for us. She would inform us when her sister and her brother came back from overseas so that we can film them. So she helped us a lot along the way.
同埋咧，我想講喺拍攝嘅時候咧，即係我哋有好多時候咧，譬如喺屋企啊或者有啲比較。即係私人啲空間咧，我都 insist 咧唔想有professional 嘅攝影師或者燈光師喺現場，即係譬如喺 Anne 屋企嗰啲訪問咧，咁變咗我哋可以真係幾個好熟悉嘅人自己可以傾偈咁，就唔係即係譬如你如果有個專業攝影師而係佢唔熟嘅，又打晒燈咁咧。就我覺得會可能佢有時即係傾偈啊，或者去講一啲問題上，可能冇咁放鬆咯。咁所以呢個都係佢頭先話即係有啲位佢覺得即係佢覺得 comfortable 嘅地方，可能就係即係我哋係一個 mini crew， 即係冇好 professional 嘅 crew member， 但係同時間可能就令到嗰個即係 interview 更加可以 close 咯。
So I think you probably have to let her translate.
So when we were filming at Director Anne's home, I will make sure that I hired someone that she knew well. If all the crew members that she wasn't very familiar with, she wouldn't be so relaxed and talk to us so openly. So I will make sure that these are people that she knows, and then we can film more comfortably at her place.
But my question of when you were looking at all this footage, what was the overriding feeling that you wanted to communicate to the audiences? Because I know that editing a lot of footage is a gargantuan task.
係真係好多 footage 嘅。咁但係其實我最初諗住想做呢個紀錄片嘅時候，其實都係。即係除咗許導演嘅為人之外，其實都係好被佢嘅作品所感染嘅。即係我好中意佢作品。咁你睇翻好多佢嘅作品，其實都係講緊好多香港人同埋香港嘅故事。咁所以好早就有咗一個概念咧，就係 同埋許導演嘅成長對我嚟講都係我覺得係好打動我嘅。咁我係一
Sorry.
Yeah.
對不起。
Yeah, okay, so there was a lot of footage. When I think I forgot. Okay, a lot of footage, but initially I know that what I wanted to make, it was about director Anne as a person, and I admire her work a lot, and so it is about director Anne and Hong Kong, the city, and director Anne and Hong Kong cinema.
Yeah. 所以依家個紀錄片其實係 follow 一個 structure， 就係許導演嘅成長，許導演同香港電影嘅成長，同埋香港好多嘅轉變，即係三段咁樣咯。
So there are 3 parts in the documentary, including the growing up of director Anne, the changes in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong cinema or
and
Hong
the
Kong?
third part is Hong Kong cinema.
第二 part 係香港電影。
The second part is Hong Kong cinema, and then the last part is the changes of Hong Kong.
Okay, yeah, because I felt that the documentary was extremely personal. It didn't have the usual documentaries of interviewing academics or film critics. What you have is people who know Anne and the family.
我因為一開始嘅時候咧，就決定咗我唔係想做一個分析許導演作品嘅紀錄片，因為坊間好多分析許導演嘅電影嘅文章已經有好多啦，書又有好多，即係我覺得我唔想，即係我唔需要我再重複做呢樣嘢，即係我比較想講即係導演個人嘅故仔。
I didn't set out to make a film essay about director Anne's work. There are a lot of research about her films online or books. So I didn't want to make that. I think the questions are coming in.
Yeah, give me a moment.
The questions are coming in. Sorry, give us a minute.
Sure, thanks. When I was watching the film, so many thoughts went through my mind, and I suppose I just maybe wanted to pose this question to Anne. What do you think is the secret, if there's one, of your longevity?
Longevity.
In the film industry? I'm sure the secret might be in the cigarettes, but
the secret is I have nothing better to do. If I've got something better to do, I'll do it. Like, with maybe most women directors, if the work is too heavy or something, they go back to their families, or their children or whatever. And I don't have anything to do. So I'll just keep rolling.
Keep rolling. Yeah, because
and obviously, I feel actually, I like filming. That's also because I have nothing else to do, because I get to communicate with people, because really on something, instead of, just talking about, talking about film shows or culture or whatever, just conversational things. I mean, I get involved in people, with people, which I don't usually do. I mean, very much. So I like to film. And the third thing is, I don't like to lose out. Like, I mean, people would say that, oh, you give up, you can't do the job. That's why, and I hate that. I mean, so I don't like to give up.
So you're challenging yourself to show that yes, you can do it.
Yeah, these 3, yeah.
And I mean, there's one line in the film where you say that you see filmmaking like your lifeline.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I forgot.
suppose this is.
It's something to do with what I said. The
Yes,
second
that's right.
point,
That's right.
that is, I get to communicate with people very well when I'm doing a job, but I don't get to communicate with people very well, on my own. Really, I don't know really what to say.
Yeah, because I know that you have made almost a film every year, if not every other year.
Every
That
other.
pace that you have is mind-boggling. Do you take holidays, or it's just the past 40 years
It's not
being
too much
about?
actually. When we started making films in the late 70s or early 80s, each professional director will have 2 jobs at the same time. At one moment, Wong Jing had 5 films shooting together. I mean, he shoots 5 films a year, and my editor, who is very seasoned and came from the Cantonese film industry, said that if you are a director, if you don't make 1 film a year, you will be forgotten. But that is later, the film industry has developed in such a way that people look for quality, so that we take longer and longer for preparation and things like that. In the first few years, I shot 1 film a year at least. And when I was shooting that film, I was already doing the script for the next one, so that I almost start immediately. But it's the same for everybody.
Except that you have held on to this pattern for much longer than most other directors from your generation, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, and also the documentary, Keep Rolling, there's one part of the documentary that says that you work very independently. You are not attached to a fixed studio or fixed producer or fixed script writer, for instance. In fact, you're taking on the mantle of the director oftentimes. Is there a reason why you have chosen this path?
It's not completely by choice. It's like maybe in the early days, when a director usually signed up to a studio, the studio don't necessarily want me. And also I don't want to sign, because I am looking for projects, and so that I'll be bound by that studio. So I deliberately didn't sign on to any studio. And so, and after a few years, the studio, I think the studio system was over, and everybody was on his or her own. And so have private investors and that kind of thing, independent production. So I have almost, it's a one-off job every time for me. It's very good because if the industry is good, I mean, if there's a lot of money around and you have got a lot of chances, but if there aren't, then it's difficult. The second thing is actually it's bad because I cannot work on the experience with my co-workers. Like all the art directors, the script writers, they are so sought after that I have to line up for them.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can't work with this particular person because he's so busy, and I have to ask another one, and I have to start all over again the relationship. And in the long run, it's no good. I mean, because you do not have the understanding, the tacit understanding you will have if you work with a group of people for a long time. That's why, in a way, within the confines of the budget and the time scale, I feel that I've never really done a film which is quite perfect in terms of its technicalities and everything. Even the casting, sometimes I can't wait for that cast, because it's because of the pace of the industry. I think now things are very bad, but because everybody has more time to consider and to wait. And I think when people go to watch films now, actually they are looking for more, they have much higher standards. It's not like in the 80s.
Yeah.
So long as there's, So maybe I think we have a chance to make a better film. In fact, like a man, he makes a film in 3 or 4 years. It's very, very unusual. I mean,
So what you're saying is that in the earlier years, you have chosen deliberately to be. Are
independent.
you saying that most directors are independent, or are you one of the rare independent directors?
I don't. Maybe half. Half the directors have signed up, but maybe half of us are floating around.
Okay, because I'm wondering, how do you actually choose projects? You know, is there a script that you really like and you have spent years developing it, or are you one of the directors that gets a phone call and said, "Hey, Anne, would you be interested in this?" How do your projects actually coalesce to become a film?
Well, it's like, you see, I've been in the industry for so long. See, like different stages are different. In the first stages, like maybe in the first 10 years, it's like our boss would approach you. In fact, half of them would be studio people and half of them would be independent people, maybe in advertising and only starting to make their first film, and they want to try. So they call you and ask you what sort of projects, and then they will give you the limit of the budget and what sort of film they would like, and then we'll give them some stories. I mean, sometimes they will have stories, but usually, but like The Secret is a story we offered them. And Spooky Bunch is a story initiated by the producer, Sylvia Wong. So it varies. But as it goes along, maybe in the later, in the second half of my career, most of it would be what I proposed to them, actually.
Yeah. Because I saw to prepare for this interview, Night and Fog. This was also in Keep Rolling. And then I, after that, saw the later films, like Golden Era and as well as Our Time to Come. Such a different, diverse film. One is super low budget, and then one is really, really lush with big sets and art direction. But in each of the films, I just found myself riveted. Because
really?
I think,
Thank you.
yes. So I just want to congratulate you. And I think the New York Times writer puts it best, and I think I will just read it out because I don't think I can have said it any better. With remarkable consistency, your style of close observation, measured pacing, and a quiet gravity of the scenes really shine through. So whether it's a really small, no-budget film to a really large, bigger budget film, this is something about the performances that you managed to bring out. It's very quiet and not flashy, no big blast, but it's just the texture that makes me want to care. And I was telling Sylvia just before that I watched Night and Fog without any subtitles. And I was just captivated by the performances as well. So I just want to thank you for caring and just observing so closely the textures of everyday life. And I think this is something that director Man in Keep Rolling has tried to communicate as well. Especially in the scenes where you show director Anne, permanently location scouting. I think those scenes were very precious, as well as, just sitting down and observing daily life in different parts of Hong Kong. I think that has definitely come through. I mean, do you want to talk a little bit about this idea of, there's also one line in Keep Rolling where you say, even if you give me so much money, I wouldn't know what to do with it.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about that? Because I'm just wondering, in the state of mind, how does someone work with something with no budget to something with such a big budget? Because that leap it requires
It's
quite a
good.
lot of skill.
Yeah, it's the mindset is very important. I don't quite know how to use that, a lot of money, but actually for my films, even with films like Golden Era, you ask man, he's a costume designer. I mean, it's a for that kind of production, it's a shoestring budget. He was hunting all over these, what do you call it, old clothes. I mean, place for old clothes, for the furs and things like that.
Okay, so now I suppose I just wanted to ask you, when you were shooting a film like Night and Fog,
Yeah.
which was just so close to the texture of everyday life, it's obviously a film you cared very much about. What was going through your mind when you were making that film?
I was straining myself to try my best to produce an effect, and that's what's wrong with the movie.
To produce a what?
To produce the effects of horror, but I was straining myself a bit because I was afraid I couldn't do it, because I felt that the kind of overwhelming horror somehow is not in keeping with my mood at that particular time. And I think that's got something to do with age, and something to do with the fact that I've just made The Way We Are, and it's a very calm film and happy film. And I was still recovering from the success of the movie, and I was still in that mood when I was trying to make a film which is opposite.
Yeah. Sorry, I meant to say The Way We Are as well, Night and Day.
Yeah, the Way We Are is
Yeah, the one just before it. Yeah.
and it's just so happened that that film was made when everybody was in that kind of mood.
Yeah.
I mean, the actors and the people, the neighbors, they all helped, and everybody was very happy, and very benevolent.
Yeah. When in another interview with Variety, you talked about the moment you saw Edward Young's film and how that changed your view about, I think it was The Day at the Beach.
Yeah.
And then after seeing that film, you said the Hong Kong New Wave is dead.
Oh, that's that's an exaggeration.
Yeah, it's an exaggeration, but I just wanted to maybe compare yourself with the Taiwan New Wave at that time, because I think you were both, the both countries were developing, but in totally different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you looked across the straits, how did that change or impact you as you moved forward in your career?
It's like I like those films very much, and I feel that they telling you things which the filmmaker is feeling sincerely about society and its people. In Hong Kong, actually, we are trying to but not so serious. It's not on the same level. I'm not saying seriousness is good, but it's just that it's just an artistic choice. How you what you think you want to do, and what level of reality you're trying to represent. I mean, the films cannot be a direct replica of reality anyway, but their representation is, for me, more daily life and more real. And so I don't have to try to dress up the story in a sort of suspense form or a crime story or a genre film through the genre film to tell my perception of reality. And even at that time, I'm not very sure. I don't know. I'm not conscious that what I'm really trying to do when I shoot a movie. I was just looking at it as more or less like a toy, something which I like to play with, and try to impress people. I think that is actually something not so bad. I mean, like doing it for the fun of it, instead of doing it as a real sacred job.
Yeah.
I think it should be both. Anyway, that was why I was trying to see what kind of reality are they looking at, and it's got everything to do with the setup, how you set up a crew, what the crew demands, like neat shots or what. I mean, like what man says, what is how you do a job with behind the camera. It has a direct reference, has a direct result in your work. I mean, like the degree of intimacy you get from me is the way he shot it.
Yes.
It's directly
So you
linked
were
to-
thinking about how to shoot. What was it they were doing that gave that kind of mood and stories compared to what you were all doing in Hong Kong at that time?
It was, in fact, a lot to do with how you approach cinema. I mean, like kind of attitude. Like that's why it is great to use non-actors in Taiwanese cinema, because it is completely sort of in line with their with their vision of reality. But in Hong Kong, it's a sort of everybody dress up and in let's say in the best TVB TV shows, spot plays. All the ancient costumes are not historical, but you accept it because they are consistent.
Yep.
So I've been thinking a lot about what is this sense of reality in cinema. It's something you have to decide on what elements to choose from and to make them consistent instead of just shooting a picture that's just newsreel, not even documentary. So I've been thinking quite a lot about that. Sometimes I get it, and sometimes I don't get it, and sometimes I quarrel with the crew because they don't get it. They want all the extras to be dressed up, not in a non-costume film.
Okay. I mean, are you trying to say that because the industry is so developed, it's hard for you to get the crew to see things in a simpler way?
You see, every industry has its either set or not set unspoken rules. How thing is framed, how long you should. In Taiwan films at that time for Ho Xiaoshan and Edward Yang, they impose their own rules. In Hong Kong, we are much more obedient. I mean, a director can be a tyrant, but he is working within that system, and he works according to the schedules, and most of the crew has a tacit understanding of the main thing they are looking for.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's actually something we should discuss or study about, especially in developing industries or in dwindling industries. I mean, because in every era, that kind of thing changes. I think it's a very good era now to set up different ways of production.
Yeah. I think people don't think that the production system brings about certain kinds of films.
Because I've been when I was working with Wu Nianzhen, and I've been studying their films. But I don't know how they are shot. But Ho Xiaoshan is a very generous man. Because, when I was doing post-production, he came and looked at the rushes and said which is good, which is bad. And I hear from what he says, his preference. Because some of the tamest scenes in Song of the Exile, he said that was the most accurate. With the two Japanese women entertaining in the house with the mother, and there was nothing happened. It's just everyday life, and I thought that was very boring. And he said that's very, very accurate. I said I was thinking at that time, how do you know it's accurate? You don't even speak Japanese. I'm speaking Japanese.
Yeah.
It's just you know what I mean. It's the different. Very exact.
Different tastes as well, right? And probably different expectations.
Different
Aesthetics. And we just, in case the audiences don't quite get it, the film that director N was referring to is Song of Exile, 1990, which was written by Wu Nianzhen as well. who was also the writer of some of Hou Xiaoxian's films from Taiwan, right? And of course his own films as well. He's also a director and an actor himself. One of the key scenes in Keep Rolling is the scene when you are going on a publicity tour in China. Yeah. And for me, I think the moment really said it all, and I thank you for putting it in, because I think for directors who don't quite understand the tensions between Hong Kong directors working in the mainland, this scene in a way epitomizes the tensions. This is a scene where you are in a way persuaded very strongly by a PR lady to speak about the benefits of the benefits of the Hong Kong partnership on the 20th anniversary of the handover back to China. And in that scene, Director Anne, you said, no, I'm not saying it, and don't make me say it. But I will talk about anything about the film, but don't make me talk about the benefits of the handover. I just wondered if maybe Director Man could talk a little bit about this scene. Why did you decide to put it in? And maybe Director Anne, what you feel about this scene as well.
Well, it happened, so I said it, But it's nothing political. It's because I just feel that I as a filmmaker, when I was doing publicity, I should be talking about the movie. So that's why I said it. It's not sort of
okay.
It's not a it's a statement of my artistic standpoint. That's all.
Fair enough. Director Man, do you have anything to add to that scene?
我諗導演解釋得好清楚啦，即係因為其實即係嗰個係一個宣傳電影嘅 tour 嚟㗎嘛，即係所以最好其實都係睇翻即係講翻電影嘅議題就適合啲咯。
I think the director Anne has summed it up very well, saying this is a promotional tour of the film, so it is best to talk about the film.
Okay. One last question before we go on to the questions that have been sent to us from the Q&A. There are quite a few of them. There's one scene, again in a promotional tour, where a director asks you about feminist cinema. A reporter asks you about what you felt about feminist cinema. I think, and then that's when you kind of like just walked out. And so I said, oh, I have a headache.
I tell you what, I feel that if I'm a director, actually, yes. I shouldn't blab. I should make films and let the film say things for me. Of course, I'm a feminist. Actually, I'm the most how do you call it, violent feminist. But the thing is, I believe in action. I don't believe in doing propaganda for feminism and going on a podium and burn my bra and that kind of thing. I believe in doing what a feminist should be doing, which is trying to be independent, trying to run your own life, and that kind of thing. I believe all of them, but I don't want to go around saying how feminist I am every time just to let people have a good opinion of me.
Okay, just give me a moment while I'm looking through the questions. Thank you.
Sorry.
This is a question for Director Anne. At the end of the documentary, Director Anne talked about her love for Hong Kong, and she would love to tell stories about Hong Kong and Hong Kong people. Can she elaborate on this? What are the stories she has yet to tell?
I hope I'm doing a lot of work on my health so that I'll live a few years longer. I hope to make some more films, a few. I'm hoping to be able to do it. I mean, yeah. Yes.
Okay, and this is
But
a
I also don't like it very much when this becomes a caption of my love of Hong Kong, because I don't like to say that out loud all the time too. It becomes very cheap. I mean, like if I'm a feminist, I act like one. If I love Hong Kong, I try to do something for it, but I don't go around telling people I love Hong Kong and I will do things for it. And that sounds, if it's repeated a lot of times, it's embarrassing.
Thank you. And this is a question for Director Man. Thank you very much, Director Man, for a moving and thoughtful film. The interviews by other fellow filmmakers in the film were very illuminating. How did you get access to them? Actually, and there was. Were there some other individuals you would have liked? I think this is a question. Were there some other individuals you would have liked but couldn't get on the film? Director Man?
即係點？有啲拍咗但係擺唔到落嚟。
即係有啲你想訪問嘅，但係可能訪問唔到咁樣樣。
哦，其實有好多好可惜嘅，即係譬如好多人問我點解冇訪問演員，即係譬如即係好多喺阿 N 電影裏邊出現過演員，譬如秋生啊或者 Denny 姐啊咁又有啲人問點解冇訪問譬如你而家有好多導演啊，有好多監製，點解唔訪問編劇啊？但係因為即係限於篇幅有限，因為我冇辦法擺得到所有 perspective 落去，即係而家我覺得依家所訪問嘅人係即係都係我想擺到落去嘅。
Yeah, some people have asked how come there were not that many actors in the documentary that I interviewed, actors such as Anthony Wong and Dini Ip, who have appeared in Anne's films. And then the documentary has many directors and producers that I interviewed, but not really script writers. And the main reason is because of the space. I don't have enough space to put in all the people that I wanted to put in. And now the people that are on the film are the people that I really want to be there.
And okay, thank you. And another question for Director Man, what is the most memorable scene you have shot in the documentary for you?
好多喎，太多。
I mean, now, can you choose one scene that you feel that somehow represents the whole film for you?
即係揀一兩幕最印象深刻嘅。
我諗即係好多，即係譬如開場阿 Ann 行入個片場，即係行落嗰啲泥路嗰度啊，佢企喺海度，即係隻腳浸晒落啲水度，啲海浪衝埋嚟濕晒，佢都係好專心投入工作。咁呢啲全部都係好 memorable 嘅 scene 嚟嘅。
Some of the memorable scenes, there are a lot. One of which is at the opening of the documentary when we can see Anne's feet are in the mud, and then she was also standing by the sea with the seawater, coming through her feet. So these are all some of the most memorable moments.
仲有一個就係佢食菠蘿包嗰個 shot，即係佢真係太中意食菠蘿包。
Another memorable scene was when she was eating the pineapple buns, and that is one of her favorites.
I have to say that the most memorable scene for me is when you fell onto the ocean. I was like, oh my God. I mean, and I was kind of like,
I just hope that
I hope you were fine. When you,
I just sorry. Sorry. I just hope he's man is making me, how do you call it, so cute that I'm afraid I will be Hong Kong sweetheart after this movie.
Maybe you are his sweetheart.
I'm not so nice.
You are Director Man's sweetheart.
No.
Yes, he says yes.
The box is yes.
Yeah. have you faced obstacles for this for director Anne? Have you faced obstacles when you were starting out as a young female director, and how did you overcome them? I think this question might be from a young director herself.
Obviously a lot, but actually I don't remember bad things. I mean, so I just can't recall, you know. In fact, lots of humiliating moments, you know. Sometimes because I don't look too nice, because especially when I was working, you know, that kind of thing. But I just got over it and it was okay. I can't remember.
And for you, of all the films that you have shot, this is another question. Which is the film that you're most proud of? I know I'm asking you to choose your children.
Most proud of? Maybe I can't think of any right now.
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe we can go on to the next question. If you think of it, I'm curious myself.
Off the record.
Yeah.
She can help us.
Okay. I think. Do you have any questions, Sylvia?
Yeah, may I ask one question?
Of course you
it's
may.
a little bit similar to what one of the questions raised earlier on. Can I just say it in Cantonese? Can I put a question in Cantonese? Okay. 許鞍華導演呢個問題呢，我其實就好想問你，你即係喺個紀錄片差唔多完嘅時候呢，你就話你而家個 intention 有少少改變咗，咁你就即係而家覺得好似更加 committed to Hong Kong，就想做一啲嘢，咁而你想做嘅嘢呢，就係覺得自己最叻就拍戲啦，所以就想拍多啲戲關於香港嘅人嘅戲咁樣樣。咁但係而家喺而家咁嘅大環境之下呢，即係空間好狹窄啦，越嚟越細。咁可以點樣呢？喺呢個咁嘅 system 裏面，咁嘅空間點可以再拍一啲你想拍嘅嘢？或者你會唔會同一啲其他嘅香港導演，特別係年青嘅香港導演，你有啲咩想同佢哋講呢？即係如果佢哋都好似你咁想 keep rolling，繼續拍一啲好戲嘅，但係點樣呢？喺呢個空間而家咁嘅 New Hong Kong 嘅情況底下。
You have to translate your question.
Oh, sure. Let me translate the question, then you can think about it. My question was to director Anne. Towards the end of the documentary, she mentioned that her intentions have changed. She feels more committed to Hong Kong. She wanted to do something for it. And the best she can do is make films about Hong Kong, about its people, films that can reflect the changes in Hong Kong. But now, given the current situation, the space for expression is getting tighter. So what can you do? How can you get around the system? And what can you share? What can you tell the Hong Kong directors, especially the young directors who may not have as much experience as you, what they can do if they are like you, they want to keep rolling and make good films about Hong Kong and for Hong Kong?
I think as filmmakers, we should not first think of the difficulties and the boundaries. We should think of the subject first, whichever subject we want to do. And not all the subjects are subjects which you can't shoot. I mean, if you focus yourself on a boundary, then you will not be able to pass it, or whatever you're going to do is just to pass that boundary. But if you are just doing what you really want to do, and I'm sure there are a lot of space which you can still shoot movies or shoot it in a way which is acceptable. I don't think that is. That's not even realistic thinking. It's negative thinking. I know it's difficult, but I think it's not impossible. And that's all I can say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Because if it's not just whatever censorship does not allow, in fact, if you go to the market itself has lots of censorship. They won't let you shoot without stars. They won't let you shoot within a certain budget. And also the audience themselves. It's a very, very big trial by itself. So you can try to, get better in other tools first. Like shooting something experimentally, whether the audience like it. It's an art in itself. I mean, it's not just what you want to do, how do you call it, subjectively, all the time thinking it's the only thing. Because any idea will go through lots and lots of, I'm not saying it's impossible, I'm not saying it's an ideal situation, but if we think that it's something which cannot be not bypassed, but you overcome in some ways by using your imagination, I think it's you are making the job more difficult for yourself.
So I suppose that's the spirit that you carry with you through all your films, right? That's the spirit which you carry with you through all the films.
I just feel that I don't have enough
things are
imagination.
possible. Just find a way around it.
Maybe I'm just too optimistic, even at my age.
Hong Kong society is now torn into two sides. There is no middle ground. Besides training new directors, what are your other plans to heal Hong Kong? Is that your plan to heal Hong Kong?
Now, here, I must say that, again, I would not like to talk about society and politics. I only talk about films. I feel, for me, that's the only thing I know best. I mean, and not very well either. I mean, who am I to say something for society and whether it's good, because everybody asks me about the film industry. I don't even know enough to tell my bosses what to do because they are at a level which I don't know, I don't know how they plan their moves and their companies and their, capital and things like that. I don't know. So I just feel that actually, so long as there are people who love cinema and who the audience and the filmmakers are really like cinema instead of liking gossip, the cinema will go on forever.
Yeah. I mean, initially I asked you what was the secret of your longevity. I think you have actually answered that question very well.
I'll be around so long that people will so sick of me.
It is a question for Director Man, and the last question. You recently went to the Hong Kong Golden Horse Film Festival. Taiwan Golden Horse Film Festival. How is the Taiwanese audience reaction to the film?
佢哋好中意啊！即係有啲 screening 之後嗰啲投票，我哋排得好前嘅都。
The audience, the local audience, like it a lot, and there is a voting for the festival, and our film, our documentary, was one of the most popular.
Wonderful. Yeah.
They all love ants.
They all love Anne.
Maybe I should start doing acting.
Wonderful.
Do a film with Liu Fangfang.
So we have come to the end of this conversation. Thank you so much, both Director Anne.
I'm so sorry. I'm so rude. I'm so sorry.
Oh, please, not at all. Thank you, Director Anne, and thank you, Director Man, and thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you, Bimbi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Let's keep rolling.
Thank you. Keep
Bye.
rolling.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.